Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. So we did verse 20 before, right? Yeah, 20. And there it said, we had discussed about the Atman is subtler than the subtlest, greater than the greatest. It is seated in the cavity of heart of each living being, free from willing and wishing, with the mind and senses composed. The one akratu, the one who is like, knows how to manage his senses and mind, is under his control. That person beholds the majesty of the self and becomes free from sorrow. And all his dukkha go away, grief go away. That's what. So the whole, what is Brahman, it was mentioned, apart, certain indicative definitions which Swamiji calls were given. And who is adhikari of it was given. And what he gains and where it is residing in you was mentioned, and what is the result of it. So it was a very compact kind of verse with everything in it. And now he's going to tell you more about some more indicative definition of it. So when people ask who God is, here it is. These are all the things leading to that. So that's why, in Vedanta, you can give a one-line answer, but to actually digest that whole thing, we have to go through so many verses and understand it from every angle. That's how you have to look at it. Okay, so here is the verse 21. Asino duram vrajati shayano yati sarvataha kastam madamadam devam madanyo gnan gyatumarhati. Asinaha, sitting. Duram, far. Vrajati, travels. Shayanaha, lying down. Yati, goes. It could be lying down or sleeping. Yati is goes. Sarvataha, the word sarvata, everywhere. Kaha is who. Tam is that, him. That or him. Mada, amadam. That, Tejamyanaji gave a very detailed description of what he meant by here, mada and amadam. Who rejoices and rejoices not. Means जो बहुत खुश होता है और दुखी होता है, दोनों इसमें आएगा. Devam, the God. Madanya, other than myself. Gnatum, to know. Arhati is able. So what is Yamraji saying to Nachiketa here about, he was talking about, tell me that Atma Tattva. Shireen, are you saying something to me? Oh, no, sorry. I thought you were saying something. Okay, so what is he talking about here? First line is saying that by sitting, it goes everywhere. So there is again a contradictory language, completely contradictory language. Saying it's like I'm sitting on this chair and I'm going everywhere. That's what it's talking about. So while sitting, it goes everywhere, it says. And then he's saying while sleeping, sorry, I take it back. Duram. By sitting, it goes far. Yeah. And by sleeping or lying down, I'm lying down and I'm going everywhere. So both are contradictory. By sitting, I'm going far. And by lying down, I'm going everywhere. That's the first line. And second line is, it sounds very arrogant, but you will see that what he actually meant, because it's a subtle subject, so we cannot take it exact word meaning. But word meaning is, who else can know this self but me? That's what, So if you just take a literal meaning, it sounds like Yamraj is saying, मेरे सिवा और कुछ किसको पता लग सकता है? But that's not what it means. But literal translation is that who else can know this but me? Madanyo, so basically, the one what kind of who we are talking about, this self, which is mother and a mother. That also can get very confusing. So this is just the word meaning, but let's see where we are going with it now. And I know that Anilji said he read it and he felt that this was a difficult one, but that's why we need like Swamis and Mahatmas to open it up, because they have the vision, what they actually mean. And Shankaracharya ji's what you call commentaries are very, very powerful in all these things. That's what people learn from another Swamis and all that. So now we have learned that that Brahman is like, if you say in Sanskrit the couple of words about him, it's Sthir, Nishchal and Achal, meaning Achal means it doesn't move anywhere. If it's all pervading, it cannot go anywhere. It's like space. Space cannot move because it's all pervading. We move in space. So remember that. So just think of space cannot move anywhere. Or, this house, I call it this house. The house cannot move within itself. It's stationary. You can pick up the house and take somewhere else, but within itself, it cannot move because, it's all pervading within itself. So that's how we have to think about it. But in spite of that, it's saying that it's moving. So first question is, there is no question of it going anywhere. So why they are saying that? They are saying it goes and it doesn't go anywhere. So, hey, where is it coming from? So let's see why they are saying it. In fact, what Swamiji said, Tejomayananji said, that he had read at one time some Western philosopher who read this. Okay? And he said, this Upanishad sounds like a blabbering of, what did he say? Blabbering of like I wrote it down. Blabbering of humanity in its early childhood. Some child doesn't know what he's saying, so he's just blabbering. Oh, बैठे हुए वो चला गया, ये वो something. So पहले तो मुझे बहुत गुस्सा आया, कि why they are saying this negative thing. And then he said, I did a little bit of thinking and I said, okay, there is a child and there is a mother. And the child starts blabbering. Who knows what the child is saying? The mother knows. And now I have experience because still baby, in our family. And sometimes, my daughter-in-law will say, that is a hungry cry. That is a diaper change cry. That is this. They know somehow. मैं तो भूल गई because मेरे को 36 साल हो गए, 34 साल हो गए, my two boys. But I see that. So he's saying you have to have a mother's heart to understand Vedanta and the Upanishad. And who can give you that mother's heart? Is the Guru can give you the mother heart, because he's explaining to you how to approach this. Because if you just approach with pure intellect, you cannot get it. If you approach it with pure emotions, you cannot get it. You have to harmonize it together, then you can get a little bit of what they are trying to say. So I thought that was very, very interesting. And the other thing that we have learned is that the Atma Tattva is infinite. It's not bound by time, space, causation. We saw those couple of verses. So then, again, the question of if it is not bound by anything, how can it travel? How can it, sit somewhere? All those things don't make any sense. But they are still saying it. The reason they are saying it, because that is kind of our experience. And they are just validating that. And what is it is our experience? That we can be sitting, I'm sitting right now on my chair. I'm talking to you guys. And I'm going far. I'm reaching all of your homes. And or other thing is, if I'm sitting over here, all of a sudden I start thinking about India. मैं उधर हिमालय पे पहुंच सकती हूँ, केदारनाथ में. So because the consciousness is all pervading. So when my mind reaches there, and if I have been to that place, I can literally visualize and feel like I'm there. So that's why saying sitting at one place goes far. Okay, so that's how you have to relate to this, because consciousness is all pervading. It seems like it's sitting, and it can go far because of this experience, So ये तो समझ में आ गया, but the शयनो याति सर्वथा, लेटे सब जगह पहुंच जाना, ये थोड़ा सा confusing है. And different Swamis have taken different approaches and all are correct. So I'll first tell you about, we will read, Chinmayananji's commentary, so we'll learn what he's saying. But Tejomayananji gave a interesting explanation. So he said that when you are in deep sleep, what happens in deep sleep? Your connection to your body and mind is broken. It's not there. That's why you have completely, like, you don't know where you are. You are in bliss, but you are not dreaming in deep sleep. So there is a waking state and there is a dream state and there is a deep sleep, because we have done Mandukya, right? When I'm waking, I have this feeling of me being here. All of us have that feeling. And then, I transact with the world and my mind goes all over. So at one place, it goes far. That's how we have to look at it. Dream, maybe I create dream body with my mind, right? Dream body, dream world, dream this thing. So again, in the dream world also, I feel like I am there, but then I transact with the different thing. So again, it is sitting and going far. But what happens in the sleep? Everything is negated, but consciousness is everywhere. So as though I have gone everywhere. That's what it means, according to one explanation. That in the deep sleep, because the connection with my body and mind is broken, so I don't have this मैं यहाँ हूँ की feeling खत्म हो जाती है, and as though I am everywhere. And that's why I was just thinking about it, that the people who have this experience of self-realization, they feel that oneness with the whole universe, as though they have gone everywhere, isn't it? That's what the whole thing is. I am everything. That's the connection they feel with the whole universe. That's where it's coming from. That, from our experience, lying down, it goes everywhere. It's a little bit hard, but I hope you guys got it, what I'm saying. If you have any question, then you can raise it over here. Everybody okay with that? Okay. So, how do we understand this? But it's very easy from the worldly perspective also. Sitting, you go far. You know how? That when we sitting in the car, especially as a passenger, if I'm sitting in a car as a passenger and somebody's driving, I'm sitting. I haven't lifted a finger. I can even go to sleep there, doing nothing absolutely. And I reach, I can reach other part, if continuously somebody's driving for a couple of days, I'll reach the New York from here. So by sitting, I've reached far. Ho gaya ki nahi? So the concept is not impossible. Even in the world, why? Because you are not moving, the car is moving. And because it is conditioned by the car, that's why you reach there. Same way, the Atma doesn't go anywhere, but when it gets conditioned by the body and mind, it looks like you have going somewhere. That's all. Because what Tejomayananji said, just put the word, Sanskrit word eva, or the English word is as though. So sitting as though it goes far. Reality, nothing has happened, but it seems like that. So then how do I kind of little bit more understand this? So he gave the example of bulb and the electricity. That bulb are many, different colors, different style, different voltage. Some is dim, some is very strong, shiny. Electricity is in all of them, and with them, without that bulb cannot shine. So electricity has to be there, connection has to be there. But इलेक्ट्रिसिटी होते हुए भी उसमें इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बल्ब से अलग है. So same way, the consciousness is with us all the time. It illumines everything. It makes us capable of doing everything, but it is different. And then this word mother and amada. So mother and amada is basically what it is. Mad is like, हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना उसको, मद हो गया मीन्स बहुत खुश हो गया वो. तो तेजमानंद जी ने बोला कि हम लोग ना छोटी छोटी बातों पे बड़ा खुश होते हैं. You know, because some young person will look himself in the mirror or herself in the mirror, अपनी beauty देख के खुश हो जाते हैं, और बाल बना के they are, oh look, my hair looks so pretty, and उसमें थोड़ा मद हो जाता है. फिर oh मैंने ये कार खरीदी, मैंने ये घर लिया, whatever, there are like millions of type of mother पूरे दुनिया में. So he just referring that is one kind of a thought in us, happiness का thought, because he was just saying the worldly happiness कहाँ से आती है. All these things that we do. In fact, he was saying, किसी को मद होता है अपने लंबे लंबे खूबसूरत बालों का, और जो एकदम गंजा होता है उसको अलग ही मद होता है. बोलते हैं मेरा गंजे सर से मैं उस पर एक अंडा रखूंगा तो फिर वो हिलेगा नहीं. Something he was saying. It was so funny. Means everybody thinks that they are great, उसका. And he's saying वो तबला वाले होते हैं, because he sings, तेजो जी sings. He's saying लंबे लंबे बाल उनके होते हैं, फिर वो तबला बजाते हैं, उनके बाल ऐसे ऐसे हिलते हैं, and they are like अपनी दुनिया में. So, and what is the opposite of mother? Is a mother means I'm unhappy, and I don't need to discuss कि how many things we get unhappy about. मुझे आज अच्छा खाना नहीं मिला, मेरा ये हो गया, वो हो गया, somebody didn't smile at me. Thousand of things. So this is another kind of thought in us. So either happiness but that thought does not get illumined without the consciousness. You have to be alive, right? The consciousness connection has to be there for us to feel these two different things. So actually, by mad and amad, he's telling the pairs of opposite in the world. All pairs of opposite that we feel in the world through our mind, body, and intellect are because consciousness is illuminating it. That's where this word mother and amada has come. So, to understand that, hey, the consciousness is illuminating all these things, and the last part of this verse is, who can know this but me? So, as I said that in the beginning, it sounds like if you just look at the word meaning, he's very arrogant and he's saying that. So what Tejo Mayananji said, that cannot be true meaning of this, because with that kind of arrogance, you cannot be even a student, forget about being a teacher. Okay? You cannot be even a student. So this arrogance, he's not talking about that arrogance. Why did he say that? He said that because we have discussed this actually in our class before, but I will bring up that. He's saying that when you realize the Brahman, then and then only you know the Brahman. So only a Brahman can know the Brahman. Okay? So there is a very famous sentence in the Vedas called Brahma Ved Brahmeva Bhavati. Means knower of the Brahman becomes Brahman. And the best example that I think it is, Chinmayananji has given somewhere, is when the river is rushing towards the ocean. It's a river. When it goes into the ocean, it becomes the ocean and it knows the ocean. Until then, it does not. So he's talking about that kind of concept. So then, because it's a personal journey, so everybody has to see for themselves that, hey, in my journey, once I reach that stage, then I will know the Brahman, but at that point, I'll become the Brahman. Okay? And the example he gave was, worldly example, it's not the perfect example, so it is not 100%, but it'll give some indication. He's saying that suppose one man is sleeping, and then he is dreaming in the dream, some horrible dream, he got some nightmare or something. And then he suddenly woke up and like, oh my God, thank God I'm awake now. That was all unreal, this is real. That experience that he's having is only himself. Other people cannot know his feeling. What the feeling of relief, feeling of oneness with the waking state and all that, only he knows. From that point, Yamaraj is telling him that, who else can know but me? And it's like only Brahman knows Brahman. Once you become that, then only even उसके पहले हम अनुमान लगा सकते हैं कि ऐसा होगा वैसा होगा, तभी हम लोग, कोई लोग बोलते ना वो is फलाना is self-realized or not. Yeah, how do you know? You are not self-realized, so you won't know. When you become, then you will know. So that's why we can't even judge anybody, because you don't know. So, and he mentioned the Karika, which we have done, the Mandukya Karika. He's saying in that it says Atma Tattva is known by Atma Tattva only. It's the same thing. Brahman is known by Brahman. And then I remembered Osho's very famous statement that you cannot see God, but you can be God. That's what he says, So even that fits over here very well, So, so basically what Teju Banerjee said, being Brahman and knowing Brahman, actually the same thing. So when you become, then you know. So in Vedanta, it is the same thing. He's talking about realization of the self. Okay. And so the next mantra will be, what will be the result once that happens? But that will be the next mantra. But this is what this mantra is talking about, whatever I just mentioned so far. Any question, comment, or anybody want to add anything? Class is very, very silent today. Anilji.
Because the material is very, very good. It's making so much sense.
Yeah, it is, the Upanishad, they are very brief, but they are very, very deep and powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anilji, you said that when you read, there was it was difficult. Did all this explanation, did it clarify things?
Yes. And I think as we go through it, it will become clearer.
Yeah. When we read Swamiji's commentary, then more will become. But if you have any...
Yeah, because he has addressed each one separately.
Yeah.
Sitting, he goes far.
Yeah.
And lying, what happens.
So who would like to read? I know Shireen has a book. Anybody else wants to read can read also. Shireen can read, that's fine. It's a long one, so if you get tired of reading, then maybe somebody else, Premji, can take it if she's there. I cannot see the video, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Sitting, he goes far. Lying, he goes everywhere. Who else, therefore, save myself, is able to comprehend the God who rejoices and rejoices not? The indescribable Atma Tattva, when forced to confine itself to the limited meanings of a finite language, the phrases and sentences employed must get blasted out into a jigsaw puzzle-like confusing contrariness. It is only the fittest student who has the necessary head and heart that can, through the trellis of the worlds, peep beyond and actually discover the beauty and the truth that lies beyond. And this becomes fully successful only when the students get a chance to listen to the discourses upon the Shruti mantras from a fit master.
So this one has a lot of important things in it. I like this sentence very much. It's saying only the fittest student who has a necessary head and heart. So, that can go through the trellis of the word, means the framework of the word, because we have discussed in our class. If you go by pure logic, it will just turn into some arguments. You're not going to get anywhere because you cannot get this tattva by pure logic. And, heart is also necessary, but if you have pure emotionalism, is not going to get you there also. And that's why I think that Manju is not here, Manju Sikri. Last time she was saying that thoda usme... thoda prem dalo usme, just think, put some bhakti in it, then you will get it. We cannot get it by dry logic. And also by a fit master, because you saw that some words are so brief, and if you just read the word meaning, you don't know what he's saying at all, unless some Mahatma comes and elaborates, oh yeah, now I understand what they're saying. So those 2-3 things are very, very important to tackle this subject. It's like, if you want to go into the space, you better have some equipments, So these are the equipments that we need to move forward in this. Otherwise, we will not be able to move forward. And, I had another paragraph in mind, which your book doesn't have. Anybody has that paragraph? There is some philosopher named Desson, I says. I'll just read that paragraph. It's kind of interesting. Desson says, here opposite predicates are ascribed to Brahman in such a manner that they mutually cancel one another and serve only to illustrate the impossibility of conceiving Brahman by means of empirical definition. I told you this, all these Western people get totally confused. They're saying that they're cancelling each other out. So anyway, like you're confused. Though in fact the scripture pant in their futile attempts to define the absolute, here these epithets are not only do a mutual self-cancellation, but in that very act with voiceless earnestness, they indicate a greater truth regarding the Madam Devam, that exhilaration yet sober Lord, that energetic yet tranquil self. So it is a contradiction. I thought those are very beautiful words. Exhilarated but yet sober, and energetic yet tranquil. Two opposites but still together. So that was a paragraph missing. Okay, go ahead, Shireen, the third part.
So can you say that the two opposites merge into each other?
Yeah, it's beyond the two. If you really want to get a better definition, it is capable of illuminating both, but it itself is beyond the two. Because when you talk about one thing, oneness, it cannot have pair of opposite.
Yeah.
That's why. So yeah, you can look at it that everything merges into it. That's also okay to see. Definitely. उसी में से आया, उसी में merge हो गया.
और बहुत देर से गर्म पानी.
Okay, I think Kamala ji has to mute herself. Sorry.
He's watching you.
Okay. So
Sitting.
Go ahead.
Sitting, he goes far. Pure consciousness that seems to preside over faculties in the body is conceived of here as the Atman sitting. But the moment a mental wave vitalized by this truth in us flies from here to Europe to contemplate upon the sunny land of Italy, it seems to meet there an existence or consciousness already present there. In this sense, the Atma is said to be making travels far into distances, though in fact the absolute all-pervading truth cannot and will not move.
So, I was just thinking about it. The sun is shining over there, but uska prakash is reaching us. So, in some ways, sun is reaching far, but actually sun is not moving, but it's still reaching. See that? So, it's a way of the play of the word, but you have to understand it, from both sides. And for us, it's very easy to understand this, that I'm sitting over here, but my mind can go anywhere. But both are there, my body and mind are because of the consciousness only.
When we say that we are going to the next room, it is a clear indication that we are leaving the spot where we are now and traveling towards a point where we are not, and where we shall be in time. This movement is possible only when the thing is a limited entity. Where it is an all-pervading truth, it actually cannot go anywhere, since there is no spot where it is not already. For example, my right hand cannot move into my right hand, since my right hand is all-pervading in my right hand. No two substances can occupy one and the same place during the same period of time is a scientific fact known, applauded, and appreciated by the modern world. Thus, Atma, or the life center, is a motionless entity, but seems to be moving only when it is conditioned by the mind and functioning as its manifestations as thought waves.
As thought waves, yeah. So now we discuss that even though I'm sitting, but my mind goes, that's why he's talking about that it goes everywhere.
The same idea is repeated for purposes of emphasis and clarification. In lying, he goes everywhere.
So here, he did not explain further, Swamiji, but I gave you the Swami Tejavananji's explanation that everywhere is because in the deep sleep, we are not at a particular place. the connection is broken. That's why we are everywhere. And that's why, like some people actually say that you are closest to God when you are in deep sleep. Right? Don't they say that? Because you are not identified with your mind and body, and that's where the mind and body heals also. Because that connection is broken, it's getting the rest, and it rejuvenates itself. And that's why that somebody was mentioning, I think it was Sadhguru who was saying that if you get really very deep sleep, you need less sleep. You can, that's why the people, like Shireen and all that, who need less sleep, she gets up at 5 o'clock and she starts. What time you wake up, Shireen?
Sometimes, quite often at 3 o'clock.
Wow, look at her. And I heard that even Swami Chinmayanandji hardly slept a couple hours only. He used to be, because in those days, they didn't have all this electronic way of communicating. Only way of communication for him was to write personal letters. And he used to get a whole stack, they said, every day from around the world. And he answered each one of them until late night. He would be handwritten to each one. And he will fold everything and he will... So God knows when he went to sleep and he woke up whatever at 3 or 4, I don't know exactly. But he needed very little sleep. Because I guess whatever they do sleep, it is a very deep sleep. Yeah.
The second line of the mantra seems to be a quotation from an arrogant monster of incorrigible vanity and egoism. At the peak of an evening's discourse, wherein the listeners were patient enough to encourage his vanity by applauses.
He's just telling you that if somebody just read that, might think this person is totally arrogant, but then he's going to say...
Who else, therefore, save me, is able to comprehend the God? Friends, no such egoism is meant here. If Lord Death were so egoistic, he would not have been the master of knowledge and self-realization as he was. And naturally, not a guru fit for Shruti to bring into her palace as a tutor for a beloved son, Nachiketa.
So he's just saying that, God would have not sent Yamraj for Nachiketa as a guru if he was arrogant. So obviously when he's saying that who else but me, he's not saying in arrogance. And then we have discussed it, but let's see.
The master means to state that one who has gained sufficient control over his mind and intellect through a sincere discipline of self-control alone can, through the higher meditations on the nature of truth, reach the cumulative glory of subjectivity, experiencing the all-pervading truth as described in the above pleasant knowledge of contradictions.
Pleasant language of contradiction, right?
Pleasant language of contradiction. If the mind is not pure, the truth realized shall not be the absolute.
So Swamiji is taking another angle because it's like he's giving some more depth into this statement, because one of the statement is that, it's a subjective journey. So, unless I purify myself and all that, I cannot know this. But now he's going to say that with unpure mind, if you approach this subject, what's going to happen? Then he's going to tell you in the last one.
Like a mirror, truth truly reflects the object in front of it. Mr. Das, if he stands in front of his mirror in his bath towel, or in his office dress, or in his bridal robe, or even in any fancy dress he chooses to wear, the reflection in the mirror reflects faithfully the same Das in the particular form of dress he has worn. An impure intellect can experience only the solid truth.
So you see how powerful this statement is? That if your mind is impure, you're going to look at God with that impurity and you will see the truth sullied, means something not what it is. Usme thoda contamination ho jayega. And I was just thinking about it, who God is. If you ask 100 people will give you 100 explanations of it, who God is. But a self-realized का जो होएगा ना, वो सबसे प्योर क्या बोलना चाहिए डेफिनेशन होगा. क्योंकि बाकी लोग जो भगवान को देख रहे हैं ना, जिसकी रही भावना जैसी वैसी मूर्त दिखती है. That's what he's talking about. But so if you go with your impure mind, you will stuck at some wrong idea of God. That's why, sometimes they say, oh, some people think God is sitting up there with a danda, giving, this, isko ye karo, usko wo karo, like a dictator or something, That's not what Shruti is saying at all, or what is they are saying, it is your own, essence of you only, your nature and all that. So, lot of contemplation in this verses, Bhagavad Gita as well as this. Many, very, very deep and lot of different things. Any other question, comment, wants to add anything? Today is a smaller class, so you have a chance to...
Yeah, where are these people?
Well, some of them are out of town, they told me. Like Meena ji and Sushil ji are out of town, and Neelu ji was not feeling well. And
Meera is out. Meera is
yeah,
out.
some people are. So that's what happened. Summertime, maybe they're taking, and now the people are started traveling, no?
Yeah.
But anyway, any question, comment? Want to add anything? अनिल जी आपने अभी पहले खुद पढ़ा था, अभी वापस पढ़ा हमने क्लास में, उससे कुछ क्लैरिटी और आई? You have any comments about that?
तो आई है, लेकिन अभी I have to read it over again.
Yeah, and these things, you can read it many times, and every time something deeper will come in, for sure. I mean, Bhagavad Gita is also similar. You can read those verses 100 times, but if you read it with sincerity, it will take you to deeper levels. Definitely.
How does one know that his mind is pure?
I think to me,
I'm saying intellect is pure.
When I don't get disturbed by small things, when अगर कोई बहुत upset हो मेरे सामने और मैं नहीं हूँ upset, that is a great indication that my mind is getting pure, And the other thing is, when I'm falling asleep, if my mind doesn't get disturbed, so then I know. And so जो लोग ये होते हैं ना स्वामीज, वो बहुत बड़े इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट्स लेके आते हैं. what our Gurudev used to say, Chinmayanand ji, when your number of friends start increasing, think that you're getting pure.
Oh, really?
It's like more people want to be with you. They
How
just
about this anger, greed, jealousy?
Why not? So
although that is impure mind, right?
Right, exactly. So I think that these are the indicator. And the other indicator could be, Anilji, when I'm sitting in meditation, when my mind doesn't run here and there. If I've decided, okay, I'm going to meditate for half an hour, or certain, because we are householders, so we cannot be sitting all day. But when I do sit, if it quickly becomes shant, then I know that my mind is getting pure. So many indicators are there.
Also, when you get rid of the opposites.
Yeah, and opposites is when you don't get disturbed by them. See, that's another very, very important thing. While we are in the body, we cannot get rid of the pair of opposite. Do you agree? नॉर्थ पोल साउथ पोल रहेंगे ही धरती के ऊपर. हम उसको अगर बोलते हैं ना, एक मैग्नेट को तुम तोड़ते जाओ तो भी वो दो बन जाएंगे. नॉर्थ पोल साउथ पोल हो जाएगा उसमें. मगर I don't get disturbed by it. So that's why the verse in Bhagavad Gita is, when you don't come under the sway of your likes and dislikes. Those are very important, but we can't get rid of them. अगर मुझे लड्डू अच्छा लगता है तो लगेगा ही.
Yeah, they are there, but they do not affect you.
Yes.
One way or the other.
Yeah, I don't crave. The craving doesn't come. Hi, मैं इसके बिना अधूरी हूँ. I will die without it or something, or I'll be so disturbed. I'll keep thinking about it the whole time. Then it's coming under the sway of it. And then the technique, why they say that karma yoga is the technique for it, because if you are doing karma yoga, you will say, this is my duty, good or bad, I got to do it. I'm not going to worry about the results. I have to just do it. That's it. So then उसमें likes dislike आया कहाँ से? है कि नहीं?
Yeah, because when you are doing karma yoga, your vasanas are getting exhausted.
Correct.
So your intellect is automatically getting purer
Purer.
and purer.
Yes. And then when you, if you do have to come back on this earth, you will come back on this earth with a relatively pure mind already. That's why some children, they have already pure mind they have.
I mean, again and again, the example of Nachiketa,
Yes. And Nachiketa to
He's
chalo.
only-
हाँ बोलिए.
He's only 9 years old and
Right.
he's beyond all that.
ट्रू सो अभी क्या है कि नचिकेता तो कोई बोलेगा चलो एक कहानी में है, मेरे को पता नहीं था या नहीं, कुछ डाउट आ सकता है. बट अभी बिकॉज ऑफ इंटरनेट एंड दिस सो मच, like you can literally know anybody anywhere through the internet, and people put videos and all that. They're such small children. They look like Mahatmas. I don't know who put it. Either one of you put it or I saw it, and maybe I forgot to share. This little girl, I think somebody put it, maybe Sneha. This little girl was answering questions. No, she was discussing some very high topic, and she could go on for like an hour talking about it. 5-year-old. And did anybody else see that video?
Oh.
She put it in either the Upanishad class or the news. I don't know. It was almost a week ago or something. That girl was discussing couple of verses of Bhagavad Gita. It blew my mind. She was literally giving a pravachan. Nobody could have coached her to do that, How can you coach a 5-year-old what to do? थोड़ा सा 1-2 श्लोक मेमोराइज करवा दो. वो एक्चुअली प्रवचन दे रही थी. So, I mean, there are Nachiketas right now in this world.
They were sadhus in their previous birth.
There you go. Because they are born with such pure mind, they get attracted to the knowledge right away. True. Any other point?
Maybe Joe has something to say.
Yeah, Joe always has something to say.
The only comment I had was if you are in meditation mode all the time, then you don't have all these issues. And you
Very
can still
100%,
function.
100% right.
Yeah.
You are 100% right.
Yeah. So when we say I have to meditate, actually it's a wrong sentence.
Yes.
Because you cannot meditate. You can put
Meditation
a
is
time below and
24/7.
above. So gradually you become used to that you are never there, but when there is a need, you are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is, in fact, he said that in the Geeta in the beginning about meditation all the time.
So to reach that state, the path is given by like karma yoga, and karma yoga mode में it's actually attitude in the work, right? वो काम करते करते अपने आप slide हो जाएगा उसमें.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So कोई force करके, because when you say I'm doing meditation, so you're literally, but that doesn't mean that we should not try to sit quietly and all that. You should, but you have to understand it from all angles. That some people.
Whole life is meditation. Whole
Yes.
life. That doesn't mean punishment. You can do whatever you want to do, but in meditation.
Yeah, like in meditation mode. True. Yeah. And that's why they say that all these Mahatmas who are self-realized in meditation 24 hours. And, open eye meditation, close eye, doesn't matter. And in fact, Tejomayananji said that once you realize the Brahman, nobody needs to tell you. You don't need to read a book anymore. You already know. It's like, okay, I want to go to the vacation to some country that I've never been to, right? So I read the book, I do this, I do. Once I've reached that place, I'm already there. I don't need to now look at the picture. Now it's there for me in reality, So that's how it is for them, So they don't need any shastras, they don't need any puja, they don't need anything. They are in that highest mode, constantly. True.
They don't need any tools.
No, they don't need any tools.
The tools are with them, implanted in them.
Yeah, it becomes like a part of them. Yeah, true. Okay, so I'm going to close the class here now. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om.